We are. We are.
We are live. Evening, guys, and welcome to BPC's Hangout and Crew. As you can see, I'm joined tonight by the lovely BP Professor
Hello.
and, of course, the lovely Stephen.
Hello, everybody.
So, tonight we are going to talk about Hostile Takeover, the raid, the new prizes, and a few other bits and pieces. So, yeah, should we just crack straight on with it?
Yeah, let's do that. I will present, and I will share, and I will apologize in advance because it seems like my bandwidth is kind of crap tonight for some reason. But we'll do our best. So, like I said, we're going to talk about Hostile Takeover and other things. So, first we'll start with stuff from the release yesterday. So there were some bug fixes. Some people couldn't play Battle Pirates in older versions of Internet Explorer. If you're using older versions of Internet Explorer, you are a bad person because...
If you're using Internet Explorer at all, you're a bad person.
Well, yeah, and old versions aren't getting security updates, so you're a double bad person.
This is the security professional over here just shivering at that thought.
Yeah. All right, so next, cold snap effect wasn't disabling the fire field extinguishing effect of the Frostburn or the Aegis or the Harlock. So it's supposed to, and so now it does.
So now you can die quicker.
I don't know, my cold snap didn't work for me so far. I mean, it worked, but it just didn't keep
Oh, it
people on
makes
my
a lot of
base.
difference.
Yeah, I guess.
I still haven't got mine because I've been too busy at work. Just haven't had time to do all of the Forsaken missions and everything, so I still haven't got mine yet. But yeah, I'll have it soon enough.
Yep. All right, so something about trial pay advertisements. I don't know what the story is there. And then remove turrets showing their wall damage stat, because turrets don't do walls. There's no hot base-on-base action in this game. And then here's another good one. There was some weirdness with guard fleets, and there wasn't that 30-second cooldown being enforced all the time. So now it is going to be enforced. I guess it was possible for a while to put one on right after one was killed.
Yeah, it's been annoying me for a couple of weeks when I've actually managed to get on to hit bases. So glad to see it's going.
All right. And then a couple other changes. We've got some new stats related to the new prizes. So remote targeting is going to show the fall off and the type. So this is kind of cool because they didn't show it before. And I'm really talking about this fall off, that you know that minus 40% means that's the damage that the remote targeting weapon will do at the edge of its remote targeting range. So it does 40% less damage for a Rhino. That's a screenshot of my Rhino. There's similar stuff from the Citadel. And then they're also displaying MIRV stats. Right now, I think the Judgement Mortar is the only weapon that MIRVs, but now you can see the damage that the MIRV does on the Judgement Mortar. Anything else there?
Want to explain what MIRV is? Because I have no clue.
MIRV stands for Multiple Impact Reentry Vehicle. And so this is a new thing with the Judgement Mortar, and we'll probably get to it then, but just to explain it now, when the Judgement Mortar gets hit by a countermeasure, it breaks apart into these three pieces.
Mhm.
So that's that MIRV count of 3, and each one does a damage of 1620 with a splash of 17, which is the same splash as the original weapon, but less damage. And so overall, the MIRVs do less damage than the weapon would have if it wasn't shot, but it's still a pretty good percentage of the original. It's still doing like 3/4 of the damage.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that a little more when we get to the Judgement mortar. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then some more changes to build time, and there were some interesting ones here. Probably the biggest one was the hulls. So there are some drastic build time reductions on a couple of old hulls. You can see the Triton went down to 12 hours, Dreadnought X down to 6, Nova to 1 day 18, and that one, Nova's not such an old hull. Probably about a year or less.
Less than
Yeah,
that, I
something
think.
like that.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
been
even 10
crap though
months.
ever since it came out, really.
Yeah, it was never that great. Yeah. Well, it's because it's a mortar hull.
Yeah.
And then the Juggernaut X went to 2.5 days. And oh, by the way, all these changes all these build times on the chart are the no officer build times. So they're even shorter if you do have the officer on there, which you should. That should be the first officer you assign. And then the UAVs, the ones that weren't the Locust or the Bomber were reduced. Some of the ballistic weapons were reduced. And some of these are pretty drastic. The Earthshaker Cannon and the Siege Cannon Z were still over a day and a half each to build. And so now that Siege Cannon Z is down just a few minutes more than the Siege Cannon S. Earthshaker is also real quick. These are important because these are speed up, give you a 5% velocity combat speed increase. So that's really good. The Impact Cannon R also is a really notable one because that one gives you 3% resistances against missiles and ballistics and explosives. So that one's useful to throw in there when you have free weapon slots, especially because it's now only like 35 tons. It's really light. Nice way to add protection. Now it's really quick to build.
Yeah, I have to admit that some of these changes are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then the mortars. A lot of these, well, these are all pretty much heavy mortars. And they used to be, I think all of these used to be up around a day and a half each. And now they've all been reduced to the kind of half day or less kind of build time. So a lot of build time reductions on mortars as well.
Good move, Kixeye, especially with a mortar hull coming out for the raid. I actually do appreciate that they had a little insight on that and helped us out in advance.
Yep. And then these specials, and again, a lot of these are mortar-related specials. So build time reductions, and since there's a whole bunch of detail on, was and is and battery 1, 2, 3, I just kind of eyeballed kind of the percentage reduction. So some of these went down a lot, some went down a little. Siege Battery 3 is still 2 days to build. It used to be 2.5. That's a really good special, Siege Battery 3. So not super, but definite reductions, and reductions are better than not reductions. I mean, these are all really good. I think the Dreadnought X is just amazingly quick at 6 hours. That's a hull that's got 4 specials and 8 weapon slots. I mean, you could do a lot with that.
That's
Not
good.
just
Good low-level hull now as well. Well,
yeah.
mid-level.
Especially
Well,
retro.
yep, you can get it to R5, and it's dirt cheap in this raid coming up. So, yeah, all these. Actually, the Triton isn't going to be available in the raid, but these other 3 hulls will be. So, if you have that kind of interest, they're good pickups. So, Now I'm going to talk about the town hall, which I put in quotes because I usually don't think of a town hall meeting as being invite only, where the participants are supposed to sign an NDA. But as some of you know, I, among some other players, have been asked to participate in this town hall meeting, and we had a meeting last week, and we've been getting permission to share some notes about what went on. So I'm going to share these notes with you today. So what did we discuss? Um, the first thing we discussed was some work Kixeye is doing, and we heard from essentially one of the engineers who was working on it, and it's in terms of a percentage of their resources, it's a significant percentage of their manpower, and they're going to try to make a fundamental change that's going to take away the ability to do what they say some of the most common cheats. And Kixeye has always been very hesitant to share information about this, and so this is what they wanted us to share about it, and this is what I'm going to share about it. So they sound confident that this is going to take a lot of it out. This is not a quick thing. We're not going to see it next week or the week after, but it's on the horizon, and I feel bad not being able to say any more about it than that. But I think the important thing is Kixeye knows it's a problem, and we think they're really going to do something about it that's fundamental and not just play whack-a-mole with it, right?
Yeah.
Because really reporting cheaters and banning them is whack-a-mole, right? Because nothing stops those guys from starting another account.
No, I mean I've got one that's following round at the minute, and it's quite obvious. I've sent tickets in on him during the week, and his base currently has a Hellstar in it. He's got 7 cold snap turrets and 7 scattergun turrets,
No,
and yeah,
sure, okay.
yeah,
So
not
yeah,
very hard to notice, really, is it?
yeah, yeah. So the change sounds like a more fundamental change that's gonna really make it, and I'm not so optimistic to say as that it's going to be impossible, but hopefully we're going to see stuff becoming a lot more difficult and a lot less commonplace. So we talked about ship build times. We talked about specials being a big driver of ship build times. These 5 specials that can go at least 12 hours and often 2 days each. Just add a week right there to ship builds. We talked about the fact that they've been doing some improvements, but they've been kind of inconsistent. We saw that again with yesterday's release. That again they took care of some stuff, and there were a lot of inequities in ballistics and mortar build times, and I looked at the mortars pretty carefully after the release, and I think a lot of the really ridiculous build times are gone from mortars. So it looks like they're kind of attacking this piece by piece instead of all at once, which maybe isn't how I'd prefer to see it done, but it's happening. And then what we talked about was, we each of the players involved kind of gave some opinions about how long should a fleet take to build. Should it take right now? Fleets take 3 to 4 months, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending if you're really doing some stuff. But it takes a long time, and we all want it quicker, and the question is how much quicker and how long should it take? And it actually feeds into, we kind of moved into the next topic from there, right? Because part of, the pain of having a fleet take so long to build is that some people will say that, well, by the time you build it, it's obsolete. And I don't always agree with that, even in the current state of the game, but it's an issue. And we talked about that, and in fact, we talked about it in relation to build times, and that when should a hull be discounted because it's not the latest hull, right? We talked about the what I call the rotating wheel of weapon love. They really enjoyed that term over at Kixeye apparently and want to make one. Uh, um, but we talked about that when when the Punisher came out, right? That meant that the Crusader was effectively obsolete, or at least bypassed, and that would be a good time to start discounting the build time on the Crusader hull. Now, if we've gotten an example of that when, okay, now the Citadel is coming and we see the previous generations of mortar hulls, decrease to a day and a half and then 6 hours, for 2 generations back, that's going to be a really good thing if they can do that on other hull types, right? Imagine a Crusader taking a day and a half for that hull. We didn't talk about anything so specific in our meeting, but if they do that, that'd be really nice to see.
Yeah, I think it'd help out a lot of people to get on their feet a bit more, be able to do a lot more in the game quicker,
Right.
sort of catch up a lot quicker, if you like. Because I mean, the trouble is, historically with this game, it takes so long to build stuff that you can't really catch up quick unless you put in an absolute fuck ton of money.
Right.
So it'd
Right.
be nice to be able to, because at the end of the day, the build times are still sort of pretty much premium end of the scale, and the tech that you've got isn't. So it does need adjusting.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was something I ran into as well. When I started a newer base, and I was humming along, and I built a Mercury fleet, and it was all great. And then I was done with that, and it was like, well, what's next? And then anything I wanted to build was a 3-month fleet, and it wasn't that good. And yeah, you really hit a wall, and that shouldn't happen. It's a real, I think, discouraging spot for a lot of players to be in, and it happens to them at a bad time when they're transitioning maybe from a new player who's really excited because everything's new and cool to somebody who's got to get into the swing of the game with the big boys, and they'll feel like they can't.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of the problem is with player retention as well.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to tackle that crossover now. When we all hit it, it was a different game entirely in terms of DPS, duration of targets, amount of enemies in the targets, and the level, their levels comparative to ours. I mean, I remember days where when I was talking about the crossover, we're talking about MCXs where you could still kite.
Yeah.
I really do feel for the lower players in that regard, and unfortunately, we can't experience as much as the lower targets because there's so much stuff is level locked. It's a little harder to see how they're approaching. I'm going to take a little time this raid and look at some of the lower end targets so that I can hit and see if we can help out the low guys a little bit, give a little more advice with some of my old fleets.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
My trouble is that because of the dock limit, and because I've been playing so long, I haven't actually got half of the low attack really available for me to use in order to do videos and stuff like that, which is unfortunate really. I've only really got sort of the last year and a bit's worth of top prizes really, so I just kind of struggle to be able to do videos for lower level players.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something that we are looking into. Don't worry, we're not going to just leave you out to dry. We're going to try and do something to help you out.
Yep. So, and then the second bullet in here is I think a really interesting one, and maybe even one of the most interesting talks we had. Um, my last blog post, I talked about, generalist fleets versus specialized fleets, and I've always tried to do these generalist fleets that last me a long time, because I've had to, because I haven't coined fleets like somebody like URF. And we talked about Drac uranium bases and how you really need a specialized fleet to go after those uranium bases. And it's tough to say I want to build one of those, but if build times come down and the target lifetimes go up, okay, then maybe you start to think, well, maybe I can build, a specialized uranium-based fleet if it's only going to take me 2 months instead of 4, and I know that target's going to be around a long time. You start to maybe think about that, and it might be a more interesting game when you can do that sort of thing. So that talk happened, and that was interesting. Then we talked about base build times, and turrets take such a long time. 10 to 12 days to upgrade a turret, and then 10 to 12 days to put a new gun on top of it, right? You can upgrade maybe one a month, maybe 2 if you're lucky, right? And then R&D with increasing the base hits is making it worse. People are getting hit more often. And so people really want to catch up. So they talked about a new target type and a new resource that you could use to speed up turret builds. And that sounded all right. We were concerned about complexity, and we were concerned about why is this different than just structure tokens. But
to me, that sounds a little bit too much like uranium to me.
Well, yeah, that was yeah, it could go that direction. But I think the point is that they're looking for ways to let us catch up on our base building.
Yeah.
And be able to try out different things.
I think that structure tokens would probably be better than having some sort of uranium cost or other resource, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's something that's already in the game. It's not something that's going to be hard to implement. But we'll see. It's good that they want to move forward and start making things a lot easier and shorter times to build stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, and then this last one was another real interesting conversation. We talked about losing your dock, and the fact that when it's not a huge amount of coin, but there are a whole lot of people who are going to sit down at their computer, fire up battle pirates. They look and see, ooh, I got smashed, and then they're going to say, well, click repair, and then go do something else and not play. And that's really in nobody's interest, right? Kixeye wants you to play the game, and we're game players who want to play a game. So there ought to be a way around this. The idea of having the dock be an instant repair came up, but I think the game designers said, and I think I agree, that there should be a penalty for losing your dock, for not defending your base. And so what we talked about was that if your dock starts repairing immediately, and I think that's been mentioned on the forums as a suggestion as well, but Kixeye listened to that one and actually kind of liked it. Because if you're in the middle of a fight and going back and forth and you lose your dock, well then you coin or you're out, right? But if you get hit in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day and you come home from work and you fire up your computer and your base is flat, well, instead of not being able to play, maybe your base will be fixed and you got a bubble and you got smashed up turrets and maybe you're not going to go out and hit bases, but you can at least get on, launch a fleet, hit some uranium, hit some salvage, do something.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it is something that a lot of people. It does put a lot of people off playing. I do
Yeah,
it myself. I get on and I'm like, oh, someone's rocketed my dock. No, I can't be bothered. I'll just hit repair and I'll log off and do something else. But yeah, it would be fantastic if they could do that. I think.
yeah,
Just a few comments from chat. Just having a look here with regards to another resource to speed up builds. People have saying no, another resource will just end badly. No more resources for building stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's just kind of yeah.
yeah.
Will they call it thorium is another question.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that was kind of our thought in the meeting is we do, yes, we do want a way to speed up our base builds, but there's ways to do it already, and I don't think we need another resource either. It just more complexity. It's not what we need out of this game right now.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. There is actually more detail that I can give out, but we are a live show, and I don't want to get in too much. So I'm going to try and put a little more detail in the blog sometime. I've got an article almost ready to go about the raid. So, but there's a little more, and so keep an eye on the blog. I'll try and share it. So let's get to the raid. Woohoo! Need my slide will advance. Maybe it's not my bandwidth. Maybe it's my computer here. Okay. Sorry. All right. So hostile takeover. Early intel on the raid was a little bit unclear on whether we'd have a new raid format or not. What's interesting, I think, is that we have new raid targets. We're going to have draconian strongholds instead of those revenge raid style fleets. But the format is actually kind of similar. So you've got this ABC sets for targets. Hit the targets for points. Complete a set to earn a bonus. There will not be a boss target this time, so that's a change. And then the ever unpopular points will be lowered if you hit below your level. So if you're a level 80, apparently, and you hit something less than an A, your points are going to be lowered. And so on with Bs on level 60s and Cs on level 40s. Although I don't know what you're going to hit lower than a C.
yeah. Guess I'll be hitting 80s then.
Yeah.
So I turned 103 this morning.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I guess. And then, so besides these world map sets, those are solo targets. But again, you can prep targets for other people, and so they can finish the sets if somebody really needs points. Then you're going to have the Mega Hall, which will be an elite. I've got a picture of that a little later in the show. And those are going to spawn near Draconian uranium bases. So that's where you got to look for them if you want to hit the elites. And it will be a co-op target. So we'll see how that goes. Excuse me. Also, 4-day raid, no sector threat, but there will be Scourge targets to get uranium. We'll see what those are like, I guess. Vanguards will show up for the last time, and then I've got some links for you. There's a tips thread showing some info on the targets, but I've got some of that here as well. So these strongholds are going to generally kind of look like this. Connected platforms with turrets and ships and torpedoes. Nothing too totally different than types of targets we've seen before. So there's that. You're going to get target intel when you click on it. So you'll see what kind of damage these things do, and you'll see what their weaknesses are. So that'll be interesting if you can really take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean it's quite good. I like the idea of them having that.
Yep.
Obviously, with it showing the weaknesses being explosives on that particular target, something like Jack Carriers might be a good idea. And the fact that it's obviously penetrating damage, if you've got a Savage Kodiak, fire that in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things I noticed, some of the people who were in the preview streamed and posted videos and such. One interesting thing that I saw is that you've got these executioner missile turrets, but countermeasures were working against them. So I don't know if that was just something for a preview, but usually countermeasures don't work against the executioners. So
Yeah,
you might want to keep that in mind. And then they've also got these little pink flag buildings that supposedly give damage resistance to the platform. So take those out if you can.
I think it's 50% to all damage types.
Yep.
So definitely take those out as quickly as possible.
Yep. All right, so that's the Strongholds, and then the mega hull. So we've seen these mega hulls before, but now they're theoretically done. They have these splash missiles that have a launch sequence, but apparently they're only going to hit in these red zones. So the red smashing zone, don't park there. You want to stay in the blue firing or the blue traveling zone and not in the red smashy zone. Trying to make fun of airports, but not doing a good job.
No standing.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. No standing in the red zone. Blue zone is for firing and unfiring only. All right.
Just think kickside and aim for the rectum.
That's right. We're right up here. So start here. Sail.
So I'm a proctologist as well as a pirate now.
Now, speaking of rectums, I had an interesting conversation with some folks who get some data out of the game, and they unearthed a very interesting stat on these mega hulls, which is that their thermal range was something like 1,000. So no subs. See these giant red ring on the mega hull? Apparently you're going to be seen with subs anywhere on the map. So you could take my word for it, or you could not take my word for it and try it yourself. But when you are seen by everything everywhere, you will understand why. So you can't even pick off the Kodiaks with subs, even though they're not thermal. The mega hull will spot you, and the Kodiaks will fire.
If you don't believe the BP Prof, at least take this advice from me, and if you want to check it out yourself, make sure that your subs are zombies.
Yeah.
Just a little tip, though.
Yeah. Or they will be zombied after you try this.
Yes.
I guess they're sick of you deluge tiger people or something. I don't know.
Well, there was loads of people that were using scatterguns on the last one, wasn't there? You could come up behind it and give it one right in the rectum with scatterguns and kill it off, and just leave the rest of it.
That's exactly right. You basically could do it without engaging any of the other guard ships. It's one quick shot up the ass, and the thing was dead.
Rectum.
So they definitely they pay attention, people. They caught it. So remember when you post that video to the Alliance Crib, you're not the only ones that see it.
They'll find out anyway. Anyway. All right. So that's the mega hull. Maybe it'll be worth the damage for the points. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be worth the quicker time for the points.
I mean, if it's the same points as it was last time, because what was it? I think it was about 600k. I think for for the normal mega hulls, wasn't it? I don't know what the elite was, about 3 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
700.
Yeah. For
I did one and
the
said fuck
normal
it for the
ones just
points.
weren't worth doing, were they? The 101s were alright.
Yeah, I only did the regular ones. I didn't do the 101s. And you're right, they really wasn't much bang for your bucks. It was a lot of damage. You went straight into it.
well,
The
I was
101s
doing
had a
ace.
good little system going on the 101s.
Yeah, I was doing ace sets for free, so that's pretty much all I did last raid. So I don't know.
We had a question from chat. Have you heard anything about the projectile speed and the new mortar? Anything from
Yes,
our
I have.
friends?
Yes, we have. Yes.
We'll get there.
Patience,
Don't worry.
chat. We're coming.
All right. Scourge Vanguards. Same. You can get Ghost Crawler, Hellstar, Shards. This is going to be the last time Vanguards will show up, and apparently Ghost Crawler Shards are moving to the Drac Uranium bases. So
Yeah, that was posted by Doom Rooster today on the raid thread. There's a lot of people worried that they spent a lot of time and effort going through all of the shards, and they don't think that they're going to make the 250. And what are they going to do about the shards? The shards will be moving as a prize into the Drac Uranium bases, just to give you another incentive to build a fleet purely
yeah,
for hitting Drac Uranium bases.
yep. Okay, so those are the Vanguards. So let's talk about the Citadel. Citadel is the updated floating fortress. It's a mortar hull. And its big thing is it's got this 100% remote targeting range for mortars. So that's kind of cool. Haven't seen remote targeting for anything besides missiles before. This hull, it's sort of weird. Because, like,
You hit it on the head. It's just a strange set of stats that come with this.
yeah,
There's such
yeah.
excitement that comes with
All
the
I'm
new
gonna
remote
say,
targeting and everything that ties into that, and then you just drop. They
all I'm
leave
gonna
the
say,
anchors out with that combat speed.
all I'm going to say is Zoe did not do a very good job at designing the stats for this. Zoe's dumbass.
10 turn speed? I mean, come on. I
So,
seriously think they forgot to pull the anchors up.
so here's how I look at this hull. It's like the Mastodon, okay? You don't want to put your Mastodons on the front lines. You didn't want to do it when the Mastodons are brand new. And I think it's the same way with the Citadel. You're going to have to kind of assemble your fleet and make use of the remote targeting and not just, build 5 of these and charge them in. So,
Well, yeah, because you're going to have to use them from the outside of the base, aren't you, really? Realistically.
yeah.
Because that combat speed, you ain't going to get it high enough to outrun APOC mortars.
Then you're just going to be a single target for the APOCs.
It's
is
not unreactive either, is it?
No. Nope.
It's got a shockwave deflection of 10,000, but
Right.
that ain't going to save it at all.
And it has 0 built-in radioactive defense. Like
Yes.
it's got the high explosive and penetrating defense built in, but then no evade, no rad defense, no ballistic defense.
Yeah.
You almost want to put layered on here.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really tricky hull to use effectively. So I have a hunch that a fair number of people who get this are going to be disappointed. Some people might figure out how to use it well, but I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed.
Personally, I mean, I look at things and have a look at what they're going to be good for, and really, it's the same as what I said with the Punisher. It's more of a PVE sort of hull, really, in my opinion.
The other I was collecting, doing more charts for the blog and stuff, and the other thing I noticed that this hull was missing, and I didn't even realize it, was it has no splash bonus.
No.
and that's a big, big gap for a mortar hull. All the other mortar hulls have like 50% splash bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
This one's got none.
Yeah, and when you take into account the fall off from the mortars as well, yeah, it's going to be, I don't know, because the new mortars, I think it's a 10-second reload time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Grumpy
But see,
Robot's got it in chat. He says that we should all probably like the Mastodon, and we should just hold on to it for a couple months until they come out with the new version, which is better.
maybe. Yeah. You know, I was had some thoughts in my head. You know, maybe pair up a few of these with like a tiger shark, and then have the tiger shark pop up and target with launchers or something, and then this thing would drop a whole bunch of mortars in, you know, before the tiger dies. I I don't know. Without a splash bonus, even I'm not even sure that's going to be that great.
no, I mean, it's the trouble is that because the build times are so long and everything, people will want to build stuff that's got multi-use, and this really just hasn't, as far as I'm concerned, really.
Yeah, and that is a good point. You know, we did talk earlier about reducing build times on some stuff and mortars even, but you know, if I take one of these and threw some judgments on there and threw some armor on there like it was going to be a frontline ship and specials, and it was a 17, 18 day build. I mean, these aren't going to be quick.
No, you know, however much I love the fact that it's a reinvention of the floating fortress, I just, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. I wanted to like this hull. I really did.
I
The
think,
idea is interesting, but that combat speed just crushed it. We talked about speed tuning. Was it last week or the week before? We talked about how crucial it really is. And you know, we talked about having it maybe as an outlier, but if you're just trailing behind, as soon as you try to kite or run away, they're just going to turn into meat shields. They're going to start getting hit. You
Yeah.
can't outrun anything if they're slower than the rest of your fleet.
no, I mean, with obviously the explosive defense and the penetrating defense on there, I mean, that's going to be pretty nice if you put siege battery on it for doing like Forsaken mission and stuff. But then with only 90 range on the mortars, well, I suppose it ain't going to matter too much, is it? Because you're going to be remote targeting off of like a.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can remote target, you'll be all right. But it's gonna take skill and yeah. Yeah. Good luck to anyone who wants to build these. You know, if you can do something effective with them, I think you can be you know, recognized as a smart player. But um, it's not it's not obvious how to use these effectively.
I mean, I can usually look at something, look at the stats, and figure out a way in which I want to use it, and I'm usually pretty good first and get it right first time usually. But I just have no idea what I want to do with this, if I even want to build it at all.
Mm, hmm hmm All right,
Weapon?
so let's move on from the Citadel. I think I didn't have another. Yep, the weapon. So we got the Judgement mortar with its MERV thing that we talked about. 550 tons, which is the heaviest mortar now since the rebalance. 6,100 damage, which is pretty good. We'll show you some comparisons in a minute, DPS and all that good stuff. Reload time of 10, salvo 2, splash 17. So these are all okay. You know, I look at it compared to the Pandemonium. Pandemonium's got a range of 85 and a splash of 19, and maybe just a little bit less damage, but also less weight. So, you know, the Judgement, we talked about this last month, right? After the weapon rebalance, Kixeye does not want to, let's hope, does not want to break the balance they created. And so if they make a weapon that's a whole lot more powerful than the weapons that came before it, they're going to break their balance, and we're going to be back on the power creep or power sprint train. So this weapon is really not that much more powerful than previous mortars. And I'll show that on the next page. It does have the advantage of MIRVs, so that really it's going to take 4 hits to totally neutralize this mortar instead of just 1. And that's good. But
I'm just curious, with the Drac, obviously the Drac coax has got a splash thing attached to it for the countermeasure portion.
Oh.
Would this splash counteract that MIRV count as well?
I don't know. Good question. I'm going to go to the next page. We'll keep talking about this. But so this is my bubble chart. And I updated the bubble chart a little bit for mortars. So this is the mortars, and I put it on the Citadel, and I used Explosive System 4. I used to compare mortars on a Hellhound with incendiary shells. The other update I did since last time I shared these is I changed it so I'm comparing these at 75% rank. I used to compare them at 45% rank, but now with VXP Weekend, I think most people can, or a lot more people can get ships to Legendary. So this is how I'm comparing, and that bubble size is proportional to build time per ton. So the first thing you see is a lot of these bubbles are the same size. Some of the little mortars are quicker to build per ton, like Shockwave and Searing Barrage and Diplomats. But a lot of the mortars you're going to be using, here's the Judgement mortar over here, out at range 90. And then you see the Assault mortars, you see the Siege mortars, you see the Pandemonium. Peacemaker 4 is kind of big. Chaos. These bubbles are all about the same size. They all, if you want to build 1,000 tons of mortar, it's going to take you about the same amount of time, whether you're building Siege mortars, Assault mortars, Judgement mortars, Negotiator mortars, all your mortars. Mortars. So that's a thing now. But I wanted to show it because this is what they did when they tweaked all the weapon build times. I haven't made the similar chart for ballistics yet, but I expect it's going to look the same after yesterday's update. We'll see about the UAVs and missiles. There's still a lot of inequities.
Yeah, they've done quite a good job, I think, of bringing the build times down and balancing it quite well.
Yeah, this is a really good thing. Definitely. I didn't come out and say it, but it is a good thing. Now, we can still worry about the overall fleet build time, but I think, when you've got a bunch of weapons that have similar build times per ton, they're starting to get more similar DPS per ton. The mortars have more of a spread than a lot of the other weapons do, and I think that's because the rank and a lot of these have multiple salvos and stuff. So there's still some spread in DPS per ton. But
to be honest, I'm kind of thinking Siege Bs if I was Citadels.
Yeah, hold that thought, and we'll go to the next slide, and I'll tell you why you don't want to use Siege Bs.
Okay.
All right. So let's do that, because first of all, your heavier weapons are going to be more effective, so that's something. But here's the problem. Here's your projectile speeds for your mortars. Judgement mortar 78. Negotiator, Chaos, Pandemonium, Searing Barrage 65. Assault, Diplomat, Shockwave, Peacemaker. Oh, here's the Siege. Way down here. Yeah. So if you use a Siege mortar, you will do lots of damage. The Siege B, remember, used to be the premier mortar. It did so much damage, but it takes forever to land. Absolutely forever. And even if you get a projectile speed bump, it's still going to take forever. So I don't know. I looked at that last chart, URF, and I said the same thing. Wow, CHB is looking really good, especially with the remote targeting and all that. But it's so slow, so
Yeah.
slow to land. If if you can find a situation where you don't care about that speed, like I mentioned that, well, if you take a pop-up tiger that's going to die and you just get that salvo off, then your projectile speed doesn't really matter, and then maybe Siege B is a good choice. But I don't know.
I have to admit that the only thing that I might build 2 of these, but I'm not going to say what I'm going to use them for.
Fair enough,
Last
Irv.
time I've done that, I created a headache for myself
Okay.
after everybody decided to copy me.
All right. I'm going to guess we're all going to thank you for that because I'm sure it's going to be nasty. Yeah. So and again, these projectile speeds. Just if you want to compare, like a blade is 180. Okay, those new generation missiles. Those are projectile speed of 180. So these are going less than half as fast. Now you can put explosive system on and speed that up, but man, it's a slow weapon. And these Judgement mortars are 20% faster than the generation before. They're still going to be slow. You're still going to be waiting for them to land. So there.
Yeah.
Have I rained on the parade enough?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think Kickstarter rained on their own parade this time around.
Yeah.
And it's not a
Hey, I
black
have a
rain.
free weekend back. It's Walking Dead weekend. I can just dick around with this raid lightly and be done. Thank you, Kickstarter.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the next prize because there is one more prize. Frostbite turret. So it's like a little baby cold snap. It's got a shorter debuff time. It does a lot of damage. It's got a long reload. It's got 105 range. So it's not long enough to put on your center island, but if you put it on your front line, it's going to outrange your attackers. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, you're not going to get this thing fast enough to get like a continuous debuff like you could with a cold snap turret. But if you aren't able to get a cold snap, this is probably a pretty solid choice. What do
Yeah.
you think?
I'm thinking I'm going to be changing out a lot of my pyros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I was kind of writing it up for the blog, and I said, pyros are nice and they're a deterrent, but really, most of the time your pyros are going to get off 0 salvos, and that's not as good as getting off 1 salvo from this guy.
And to be honest, I don't even use them as a stopping agent anymore. They're just all chopped up at the front of my base.
Yeah.
It's just kind of. It's quite funny though, because I think the last sort of 11 or 12 people that have hit me, apart from one when I forgot to put my guard fleet in, that's nobody's got past 28% up to now.
All right. Well.
Quite amusing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Frostbite, this is probably pretty good. So if you're unexcited about the mortars and don't even want to pick up any of the lower end prizes, this might be what you want to target. So
It's a decent price too. 9 million's not too excessive for what it is.
well, yeah, I guess. I'll mention that in a minute. So suggestions, I left all the mortar stuff on here. I was kind of doing it in order, and the first time I made the slide, I put the mortar stuff at the top, and now I put the mortar stuff at the bottom. Now after talking to URF, I'm even more negative on the mortars. So, spend carefully, decide what you want. I still love the Dreadnought X for like 45,000 points and a 6-hour build. You know, if you're any kind of low end player, you just gotta get it. You gotta.
There's a lot of power there. Like I said before, don't shit on the Dreadnought X's.
Yep.
It's a good stepping stone. Put some Arbalest on those suckers. Put them in R5. You'll melt through your FM at least.
That's the normal Dreadnought. You want to do that one?
Is it normal
Yeah.
Dreadnought? Dread
Yeah.
X is Mortar. That's right.
Yeah.
Damn it!
So
I always get those two confused. I always do that. Damn it!
yeah, you don't have the ballistic range on the Dreadnought X.
No.
You've got spread and splash because it's a mortar hull.
Mhm.
Zoe. Don't know how to design a freaking mortar hull.
Stick
They
to
got it
the-
right like 3 years ago and not today.
Yeah. Made all those rude comments about her last week. About her freaking crazy hand. Just good for her. I guess I was right. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. All right. So tier 2, you got the Juggernaut X, which is really cool. It's 1,000,000 points, and that's a great tank hull if you don't have any of the deflection hulls. Excuse me. So yeah, that'd be really nice to go after. You can get that retroed and get armor abilities so that your evade is even more effective. And then it also had the build time reduction. So I looked at a build for this that was like a week, and it was loaded with D3E. It had evade in the 80s. Just be a great tank against.
Yeah, it's something that before all the deflection holes come out, that we were using, especially if you're doing like Forsaken mission targets and stuff like that as a tank hole.
Yep.
If you haven't got any of those, it's a brilliant tank hole for that.
Yep.
One thing I will say though is that in the next tier up, heavy plating is a definite one for me.
Yep. Yep. All my guard ships use heavy plating 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then keep going in that. There's also nuclear accelerators are showing up. So if you don't have those from the Forsaken mission and you want to build a ballistic fleet, you want nuclear accelerators. Tier 4, you get the Rhino, which if you missed out, it's still a great hull.
Yeah, I want to add something on tier 3 as well, which I think is actually probably quite important as well. Siege targeting 3 gives you a good boost for the Drac uranium bases because the turrets are quite hard to kill.
Can you pair that with Siege Battery?
Yeah, pair it up.
Okay.
Pair both up, and it gives you that extra. So yeah, it's definitely something that I would pick up if you're looking at building a fleet for doing Drac Uri bases.
Okay, good tip. Siege targeting had a build time reduction, remember?
Yeah. So.
All right, so let's see. So I was talking about tier 4. So those top 3 prizes here: the Rhino D5E and the Disruptor DR. The Disruptor's great if you're building a ballistic fleet. Also, D5E, a lot of people used it. And then you got all your mortar specials. So I did kind of think about what of these tier 4 mortars you want the most and the least, and I ended up going by projectile speed. So I like the Pandemonium best if you're really going to get one.
Yeah, and the splash on those is insane when you've got your explosive systems up to R15.
Yep. And then you got these sort of mortar-based specials, which are okay, but you'd rather have explosive system for. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there will be none of those limited prizes. No Gales, no D6A.
I'm
no
quite disappointed about that, really, to be honest.
Some people were, some people. I don't know.
I think that the Gales, though, especially, they're
Yeah.
so handy.
Yeah. All right. Token store, however, will be, and it's the same as we've seen, same points. 1 week total that you can pick up. And then we're on to screw ups. So this is going to be a little bit of a more expensive raid, I think, than recent. The targets didn't look easy, I would say, from some of the preview videos we've seen. And you're going to need 31 million points for all that new stuff. Now, maybe after this show, you think you're going to skip it. I don't know. But it's a lot of points. So
Yeah, it is a lot of points.
you know,
For people that are trying to catch up.
Yeah. I mean, the new weapons have usually been around 6 million, and this Judgement mortar is 9. And with it being, what it is, it's not that much better than every other mortar we've seen. So
I think the main advantage to it is going to be the fact that obviously it nerves up, so even if you do shoot it down, it's still going to do some damage. And I think we were talking earlier, and you said it works out roughly about 75% of the damage.
Yeah, but each of those MIRVs can also be shot down. So it's sort of like, I mean, we've seen stuff with like 80% flak evade on the missile side, and I look at it sort of like that. Instead of taking one shot, it's going to take 4 shots to kill it. So.
Yeah.
Can anti-mortars take multiple shots of the same projectile? And we know anti-missiles only shoot once. So that kind of itself kind of knocks down some of the abilities to it. It's not like it's a missile where they're only going to shoot at it once.
No, I'm interested to see how the Drak Coax works against them because of that splash that it's got.
Somebody was saying that it doesn't work for mortars in the chat earlier. I'll have to dig that up. Let me look.
It's the Coax.
I'll throw it up here.
Supposed to. All right, so that's screw up. Breakthrough. Build times aren't fixed yet. I don't think they're close to fixed yet. But I think we're starting to see where they're going at least, and they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I have to agree. They are going in the right direction. But pick up the pace a little bit.
I would have liked to see this done all at once. I mean,
yeah.
They apparently have a plan in mind. They're just kind of rolling it out piecemeal. So I'd like to see that move faster.
Apparently, it's only for missiles, UAVs, and rockets. The Drak Coax, which is weird.
Surprising.
I knew there was a reason why I didn't build any.
For me, it was because everybody else who built them first said they sucked.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. How can I get out of... Oh, I'm out of screen sharing. Okay.
You're back.
I'm back.
People don't have to just look at my ugly face for an hour in the corner and they can see somebody else.
Yeah. Hi, you can look at my ugly face.
You'll never see URF. You don't want to see URF.
It's like Medusa.
One day he'll show up, or he'll do what I do with my dog, and he'll just do his cat, just locked in the frame for the whole show.
Yeah.
It's the enigma behind him. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and throw it in the chat quickly before we wrap this up. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please go and throw them out there in chat, and we'll try to address them before we close this out. You got a couple minutes.
Good raid for base hitting.
Get the research done. We'll see how they do on getting us into uranium. I know I'm pretty uranium poor at the moment. I'll try to fix that tonight. But
you know,
if we can, if the Scourges are good, or was it Scourges? The Vanguards are good.
Scourge.
Then and I just got my second Tiger Shark done, so I might be farming myself some uranium this raid and base hitting my way to getting some of these levels done.
URF, what you doing?
Are you trying to Inception us here?
Yeah.
We need our music with a womp womp.
That looks cool.
Yeah, now the top's going to fall over.
Or is it? All right, guys, get those questions in. Let's see.
Speed of new mortar, 78. We did it. What are you, late, El Jefe? So it's
Fastest
20.
mortar yet, but good.
Yeah, it's 20% faster than like the Pandemoniums, which are the fastest mortar currently. So,
But more than half as slow than a blade.
yep.
Cool. So I think that's pretty much us, isn't it?
I do want to thank we have a little bit more people watching live today. I want to thank you guys for reaching out to your friends. We love it when you guys watch live and sit here in the chat and communicate. So spread the word to your friends and see if we can increase our live count here a little bit more in the future.
Thank you, live viewers.
We love you.
Yep. Yep. I'll pimp the blog without being asked. I got an article that I'll probably publish tonight with a little more raid stuff. So yeah, that's the blog, and I guess as promised, I'll also put some more detail in the town hall. I don't know if I'll get that up tonight. So.
As Firepalooza is still not going on after the raid, so we'll have more info about that for anyone who wants to get on that.
Yeah, it's probably looking to be sort of second week, so end of the month, really. But we will have a date for that. It was going to be lots of fun. So, as always, check out Larry's blog. He's pimped it already. There we go.
bpprof.blogspot.com.
There it goes. Don't forget to check out the BPC page. I'm going to chuck another build up as well. They're doing Dracuranium bases with heavy cruisers. So we've got one for Neptunes, there's one for heavy cruisers, so it's going to be put up there as well. We'll try and do some videos of ways we found to do the raid for as cheap as we can. Some good tactics and stuff like that. So we'll post those up during the course of the raid. And yeah.
Check back here next week to see if they change shit in the middle of the raid again.
Yeah.
With regards to a community show, we're going to do one this weekend, Steve.
First, I want to say I'm sorry for my life's been kind of crazy recently, so they haven't been able to get the community show off with the regularity that it deserves. Possibly. All right. What about you? Are you up for it? I know your shit's been crazy.
I might be able to, but I can't promise. So I think we'll just call it a sort of play by ear kind of thing.
We'll talk about it in the line in admin comms. Maybe.
Yeah.
Strong maybe. It's the best I can give you guys.
Yeah.
Depends if the servers blow up or not.
Don't blow up your servers.
Yeah.
Well, they just got new sexy combined like Cisco V blocks. They're $500,000 a piece. Oh, sexy servers.
Just don't do what you've done to your computer.
Fuck you, Windows 10. Corrupted. I'm going to go tell the community. I added a stick of RAM on Monday night, and somehow, I guess one of my hard drives crashed, took out the MBR, and it took me almost 8 hours to get my computer back up. Fuck you, Windows 10. You were going so good. You were going so good for a month and a half, and you give me that shit. Unhappy.
Right.
Night, guys.
So, I think that's us.
Bye.
Catch you later, guys. Have a good night.